Hey everybody, how's it going? Steve here with a quick but really disappointing news update on the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 and its pricing here in the US specifically. Nintendo has announced today that the pricing on Switch is going to increase here in the United States, citing market conditions, which I think we all know what that's code for at this point, because this isn't happening anywhere else in the world. So basically, the Switch 1 hardware will be going up in price in its 8th year, and the Nintendo Switch 2, the console at least, is remaining unaffected. Nintendo seems to be doing everything they can here in the US to keep the price at the $500 mark, or the $449 mark if you don't buy the Mario Kart bundle. That's the good news. That's remaining unchanged, but the bad news is pretty much everything surrounding all of this. So we've got the Nintendo Switch 2 at $449 and $499. That's staying the same. However, the Nintendo Switch price, which we learned from Target earlier today before they quickly removed it from their website, looks like this. The Switch OLED is going to be $400, just $50 less than the Switch 2 without a game. The non-OLED model is going for $339, and then the Switch Lite is going for $229. We reached out to Nintendo of America and they provided the following comment. The adjusted pricing will be effective on August 3rd, 2025. Pricing information for United States consumers can be found at www.nintendo.com/US/store. These are not great prices. This is bad news. It basically makes buying a Switch 1, especially if you're going for the OLED model, not make a whole lot of sense because you're just mere $50 away from getting a Switch 2 at that point. I was kind of hoping that as the Switch 2 came into market, that the Switch 1 would come down in price. I think that's what Nintendo was hoping for as well. But unfortunately, that just doesn't seem to be in the cards, at least here in the US, thanks to market conditions. But also, we're not just looking at price increases on Switch 1 hardware. It is worth saying that Nintendo has said that both physical and digital games will remain unaffected. That's great. I'm very happy about that because I've already got the console. I really don't need the games to get any more expensive. But we do have a few more things that we know about currently. Alarmo is going up from $100 to $110, and the Joy-Con 2 are going up from an already steep $94 to $100, and that's pretty big. I think that what we're seeing here is presumably a 5% increase across the board for all Nintendo Switch 2 accessories. So I expect the Pro Controller 2 and the webcam will also go up in price. Additional docks, which Nintendo only sells through their website, will probably go up a similar amount, like $10 to $12. But what we're also seeing is that select amiibo, whatever select means, are also going to go up in price. I suspect those are going to be the already expensive Street Fighter 6 amiibos, which will get yet another price hike. Same for the Tears of the Kingdom amiibos that came out on Switch 2 launch day. I bet those will go up in price again. This is just bad. Being in the US doesn't feel very fun when being a Nintendo fan right now. And this is all due to tariffs and international trade wars and all this stuff going on solely in our country. So if you live somewhere else, the good news is you're fine and everything's going to be fine. If you're here in the US, your wallet's going to hurt a little bit more. And unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do to avoid this, because if you import packages, well, fees are going up on those too, but that's a whole other video from a whole different channel. But this is it. The Nintendo Switch situation in the US just got a bit worse thanks to international trade policy, which is something I really wish I didn't have to talk about here. But let me know what you think down below. If you're in the US, I'd love to hear what you think of this new policy and how Nintendo is reacting to it. If you're outside the US, is this all just one big funny haha moment for you guys? Because I feel like if I didn't live in the US, this would be one of those reasons I point to why I didn't want to be there. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned to GVG for all things Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. Hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we post videos that aren't nearly as sad as this one, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, bye.